Welcome to Hustle Estate from good old New Jersey and Detroit, Michigan. I'm one of your hosts, Isaac Gilman.
And I'm your other host, Ed Hendrickson.
COVID, week 7. What have you been up to?
Well, I'm just trying to drum up business, so I've been working on that a little bit.
So what are you trying to drum up?
Well, I try to spend a lot of time on the phone with lenders. I'm still getting calls for deals, but honestly, like not a lot of calls, but I'm still getting calls. Probably, actually, to tell you the truth,
Calls from lenders or calls from like
borrowers.
Potential borrower? Okay.
Borrowers. So I'm actually getting more calls than before. Now, if I had the ability to close them, that'd be great. I'd probably financially be doing better than I was before. But really, I think half the reason why I get the calls is because anybody who's getting quoted now, they're getting what they don't like, and they're just next man up. And I think
it's just like a Rolodex thing. It's just like, I'm unhappy with my service. It's like, I hate Comcast, so I'm going to call the next person, even though I probably won't change.
You're going to get, and you're not going to get anything different from Comcast to Verizon.
Right. Yeah.
Right, because we've kind of gone over this a little bit before, but I mean the people
the deals just aren't out there.
Well, even that, from a lending standpoint, those who lend, a lot of these people they're doing two things now. They're either holding the loan for the 12-month period, or they're selling it. And there's really only a few people compared to before that are buying. They're all buying at the same rate in essence. So there's not much competition out there.
Right.
And even through the competition, it's a little bit different. What's changed people and they're most upset about, I feel like, is interest reserves. So that basically just means that you have a 12-month loan, and they're looking for 6 to 12-month interest reserves for the most part. Most lenders, I'd say 9 out of 10 lenders I've spoken to. And that one other lender, I want to say actually all of them, I believe, are asking for it. I know one that's doing might be willing to go down to a 3-month, but irrelevant. What that means is you need to bring 6 months worth of payments to close. So before we were talking about, let's just use a really experienced guy. He's getting 90% of purchase, 100% of rehab. Now he's getting 80% of purchase max. Like, he'd have to be like super experienced. Like I said, one lender is kind of doing 85, and 100. So now you have to bring anywhere from 5 to 10, if not 15% more money down to the deal than you did before. And they want 6 months of interest reserves, which could be almost another, in essence, 5% of that purchase price. So it's a lot of more money coming down. And I think there is a battle of two things. Are there really that good of deals out there that people are able to find and fit into this new box? And two, are they just willing, or do they even have the cash to put down? Because before, when you only needed 10% down, you could do many deals, or one if you were very skinny on cash. Now you have to be pretty cashed up to do a deal.
Right, because you were saying that a lot of lenders aren't doing anything without like basically 50% down or like something ridiculous.
Crazy stuff.
Some ridiculous stuff. Exactly. Right. Any way to really reduce the risk.
Right.
I guess, like, can you? I don't know. If I'm like, what are people calling and asking? Like, what's a common question you're hearing or a common comment? Like, if you're saying that you're getting a lot more calls, but a lot of these calls probably are not great leads because you're working with all the same, like, what are some of the things you're seeing?
So it's, how much do I have to put down, and do you guys have interest reserves? Those are the two things people care about and they're asking right now. And to be honest, I've always been this way. I'm extremely upfront with people. I tell them right off the bat, you're putting 20 to 25% down, no questions asked. Like, you have to be an all-star to put the 20% down. And I tell them that they're going to be putting a minimum of 6 months interest reserves down. It's based off credit. Could be 9 months, could be 12 months. And that's really it. And I mean, I'm somewhat winning the hearts of some people, but it doesn't matter. Like, I've spoken to people and they're like, yeah, if that's the reality, then it is what it is. Like, I'm not doing the deal. I spoke to somebody today, and there's, not to go too deep into this, there's another thing that this lender wants is like 20% of the overall project you have to have cash in. So that's like loan to cost, that's called.
Say that one more time.
They want you to have 20%. want you to be 20% in the deal. So that means.
So if you want to take out $100,000, you have to put in 20.
Yeah. So in your scenario, if you're doing $100,000 purchase and $100,000 rehab, normally it would be 80% of purchase and 100% of rehab. It'd be $180,000 loan. Now they want you to have 20% skin in the game, which can include closing costs, by the way. So let's say closing costs are $5,000. We'll make that up. Now you need to have, $20,000 in that deal at least. What's that? $40,000 in that deal. Shave off $35,000. So now that down payment really just became 35% down in that scenario because they're going to lend 100% of closing costs. So there's like just so many things that are moving in this. I had a deal this guy today, and he might give me one of the two. He's going to make another phone call because one of them was like a $70,000 purchase and a $90,000 rehab. That loan to cost gets so skewed because the rehab is so much larger than the purchase that he's going to have to put like something like it was like 35 or 40% down. And he was just like, well, at $50,000, loan, he's like, I could just buy it cash. The guy had enough money. He was like, I'll just pay cash for it. But he can't do both deals cash. So he might do a loan on the second one. He just wanted to probably call another lender. Now I know that I got this deal because he got it done by another lender and that lender backed out. But he doesn't know that I know that. I just know that because he's got an appraisal in another lender's name and there's no reason why he would have that if it wasn't rejected somewhere else. So when he comes back and he's ready to go, we'll dig in as to really why he's not going to use that person, what happened. But, I'm certainly not in a position right now. To tell you the truth, I'm just pulling back, like just explaining, expressing, and then if you're truly interested, I'll dig deeper on you. I used to normally dig deeper, like right on the first conversation, like don't waste my time, let me dig into this. But that just scares people. Like I'll just scare you away right away on the first call. Like, let's see if you can swallow the pill. Are you willing to pay 25% down, pay 6 months in reserves, go sleep on it, call me back the next day? He says he is. And I'm like, so what happened with this other lender? We've already crossed one hurdle. To be fair, like, dude, people aren't calling back. I'm calling people back. I'm chasing people down. They're not picking up.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're getting the same answers, do you really expect any different?
No,
I guess
don't.
like are a lot of these potential borrowers? I guess like what's interesting to me is they must have some thought process that's like, I have a good deal, or like I have a home run, or they have just cash on hand. Like why is this the investment vehicle of their choice? Why, like, there's so many other options out there, especially in this time where the market might sink, like the housing market might, like the valuation of a house might, drop 10, 15, 20%, 5% maybe. But either way, it's bound to be a little somewhere between significant and enough that you could lose your margin, your profit margin, right? Mm-hmm. Are you getting a sense of like what their thought process is, or they're just trying to like be, business as usual?
I think it's a little bit business as usual. That's really all I would say. I think it's just business as usual. I could maybe try to go a little bit in depth, and a lot of these guys aren't necessarily, and I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but I was going to originally say, to be fair, sophisticated investors. Sure. So it's maybe partially that you're dealing with a different class of people, right? Like we're not talking about like a whole bunch of like college educated people who are like 401k, save money, put in the stock market, right? Like those kinds of investments. They're blue collar, much more successful maybe than their parents were. They own a plumbing company. They start doing flipping, or they never went to college and they just got right into this because it was an easy way to get in, or maybe they were just a realtor for a while. I guess what I'm saying is they're not around other people who are doing larger they're more risk takers, to be fair. And also the other thing you have to look at is this isn't necessarily an investment to them. It's their job. So they're not looking like oh, I could put this in the stock market. So now you're talking, the difference would be is, do I day trade this money and I have no idea what I'm doing day trading, or do I take this shot on this house? I at least know what I'm doing on this house.
I see. So it's like, I gotcha. That's a good way to put it, is like, it's not as much of an investment as it is just like normal cash flow, day to
Correct.
day. I see.
And some of these guys, own their own construction company. So to do a flip and
Right.
lose the margin, they paid the bills.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. They have like the whole process kind of like, or the supply chain, if you will. They have like a number of it figured out. And
Yeah,
so this isn't as, even though they say they're risk takers, they're not really taking as much risk as opposed to if I all of a sudden tried to get like a flip going.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, I guess when I say they were risk takers, they were more risk takers from the beginning. You took the typical path, I guess, right? Like
Yeah,
you went to
yeah.
college, then you got a master's degree, and you tried
Right.
higher education, higher income, right?
Right.
That
They
was
figured
your
it out a different way. Yep.
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's one of the things I've been doing, I guess. And the other thing is, I mean, well, first off, too, so not only talking to borrowers, I talk to lenders all the time.
Sure.
I just try to be on the phone with them. I'm not even looking to get a sweet deal. I'm just trying to keep relationships, build trust, talk to them about their knowledge in the market, learn the whole, all those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, makes sense.
so I have this other idea that I'm working on, which is kind of in part talking to lenders, which is helping lend on the rehab portion specifically. We'll see how that pans out. We haven't lent on anything yet. To be fair, I'm looking at it really conservatively. I guess when I first came up with the idea, I thought this is a right now fix to help people in the situation right now. As time goes on, I feel like more and more a little risk adverse as to how the real estate market could behave
Mm-hmm.
in the next 3 to 6 months. Even if the economy comes back, I just don't know if, again, will there be a larger, excluding my real estate world and loans getting done, which obviously is very important,
Sure.
but I've thought a lot about how the economy is going to impact the end house sale price that I think is going to drop and what's going to drive that drop. So if I really believe all this stuff, is that I think that even if the economy opens up, I still think the drop in housing prices is coming. It's already, all the things have already in play to cause that to happen. And I'm not calling for a recession or depression or anything, but just the thought of my mind is like, why get involved in a deal if I can already comfortably predict that housing prices are going to go down? It's going to be tough for me to get my profit out if they lose that 5% margin, as we just said, if that 5% is their margin. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where my thought process is on that. That doesn't mean it's over. I mean, there's definitely juicy deals out there, right? There's still people that are
Sure.
making a lot of money on their deals. Maybe I can get involved there. I'm still pushing. I'm talking to lenders. I'm pitching my idea to them, getting their feedback, readjusting, keep pitching, readjusting. And it's kind of I talk to lenders, and if they say no, or I listen to why, they're way more experienced than me. So understand their why they think it's bad. See if I can reframe it, reprotect, and maybe that end product isn't for right now, but I definitely think it is for something in the future when some normalization comes back. And then I just spend a lot of time on my goals. I'm kind of been a psychopath about some goals lately, so I just work on that stuff. But
What's a goal that you've been really focused on? And are you more focused on these things because you have a little bit more time because the market is kind of put a lot of the deals that you broker kind of on ice?
it's probably a yes and no.
You're also not traveling as much because like a lot of the counties, states, cities, their municipal
Right.
courts are closed, so you don't have to do as much like permit pulling and whatever else you need to do.
I guess I would be doing something still, probably not as intense if I was busier working. Like I guess, for example, like I'm still working, like I'm working out pretty actively 3 days a week.
Right.
I probably would have been doing that anyway. But on
Sure.
top of that, I have like just like a fairly easy basic goal. I mean, except every goal is easy until it's 9 o'clock at night and you're like, shit, I didn't do that yet.
Sure.
Is I'm doing 50 push-ups every single day. I'm doing 10 pull-ups every single day and 10 leg lifts every single day. That, like, the 50 push-up thing was since January 1st. But when, this whole pandemic, like officially the lockdown, the quarantine kicked in, I was like, I'm going to do pull-ups and I'm going to do these leg lifts, and then I'll start doing this workout 3 days a week. And then it became like, I'm going to do yoga for 10 minutes as well. And now all of a sudden I have this like massive checklist. It's like 50 push-ups, 10 pull-ups, 10 leg lifts, 10 minutes of yoga, walk 3 miles every single day. Like I go down to the garage and I pace back and forth for 20 minutes to get my 3 miles. I put a podcast in, I listen, or I take a phone call, something like that.
There you go.
And then, I'm drinking this gallon of water every day. That was something else I added in. What else am I want to stretch for 10 minutes a day. So it's outside of yoga. That's something new that I just implemented that. So I can tell you right here, I'm looking at follow this guy, Jesse Itzler. We've talked about this many, many times. He has this accountability thing, 60-day accountability. And he talks about taking daily vitamins. So he has like 7 things or 7 slots. Within that, you have monthly goals and then weekly actions to hit your monthly goals. Okay. So, I'll just read from this.
So it's like a hierarchical system. Yeah. Okay.
So I created all my stuff's not on this because I had my 50 push-up thing was never going on it because that's been already. So drink a gallon of water, walk the 3 miles every day because I kind of fallen off that prior to Corona, but now I'm pressing it. I need to go to bed with 3 miles. Done. I'm at like 2.6. So when we get off here, I'm gonna go down to the basement and walk to the garage and walk. I'm reading 10 minutes a day. I was already doing that, but I put it on this list.
Cool.
Anyway, it's 10 minutes / pages. I really shoot for the pages over the minutes because it takes me longer to do the 10 pages. Okay. I meditate for at least 5 minutes. I put down hang out with Anne, like specifically hang out with her, not just coexisting. Like after dinner, we'll sit down and we'll spend time. And then stretch for 10 minutes. The other thing is, and I'll fully admit this is gross. I don't give a shit. I don't floss every day. So I put floss. So I'm going to floss every day. For you. So I'm doing those things plus the 50 push-ups, pull-ups, leg lifts. And then, obviously then there's just there's work. Today I don't know how attractive this is for everybody. Like I have a tenant that didn't pay rent. I was following up with them. I was trying to figure out any sort of thing that I can do to get them to pay rent or help them or what. Even help them. Like, how do I get them on the phone? Because I finally got them home. I was like, we just have to have a conversation. This isn't about me trying to be aggressive. This is about what can we do to help each other? I have to pay my mortgage. You have to pay rent. You can't afford the rent, then I can't afford my mortgage. What are we going to do? Just trying to negotiate that. We built a dresser today. I spoke to an attorney today to talk to, I got for a deal that I'm trying to get closed, paid some water bills, just like stuff like that. I'm staying more on top of that crap now. I'm going to tell you, I spent over an hour today trying to figure out an escrow issue with one of my mortgages. So I'm in the hole. They raised my mortgage $700. Is it 700? It has to be more than that.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, $800 or something, I think is what it is. Whatever it is, it's irrelevant. And it's because I paid my insurance got changed and it went up like $1,000 last year.
Yep.
And then they had the wrong escrow amount to start, so I was behind. So what I ended up actually a huge $5,000 is what I owe, or they raise it. Yeah, they should have caught it earlier.
Yeah, they should have caught that earlier.
Yeah. So what I was able to do is I got new insurance, which was $700 cheaper. I'm canceling the other insurance, which will net me probably $1,500 to cut them a check back into my escrow. So my escrow will come up from being, and by the way, the 5,000 is short at the lowest point in the year. That's how they do it. So you have to have.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, when you run out of yep.
So I learned like way more about escrow than I ever thought I would know about escrow, but I'm pretty good at it now. So that brings me up to now I don't owe 5,000. Now I would owe 3,500. And then what I did also was I got new insurance, so that's $700 less. So theoretically, I'm $2,800 behind.
Mhm.
However, my escrow is still going to go up because they were so wrong anyway. So my escrow
Right,
payment, like originally $200, it's going to be like $500 or
only
whatever.
cut out so much.
Exactly. So I'm ended up going to save like $180 a month, which is
I
great.
mean, it's
Like,
still saving. Yeah,
what
over
else am I
time,
doing?
that's
You
yeah.
know, but it's now just like a slow, painful march because they actually just paid my new insurance. Now I'm in the hole my escrow 5Gs right now.
Mhm.
That's like, so now I technically would be on like 7 grand at the worst point, but I'll bring that back up as soon as I get the refund. And then I'll call them and ask for a new escrow analysis, which at that point they will see that I have a cheaper insurance and that they'll have to pay a cheaper policy at that point, and they'll lower it to $180, and that'll be over. So these are the things I'm doing. I'm cleaning house, you should say. Like, I'm making sure that when I come out of this, I'm lean and I'm ready to go.
Sure.
All the things you put to the side, like I had a pile of papers. I was like, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. Going through those papers, figuring it out. So just trying to every day move a little bit closer, a little bit closer. Um, I'm not, we could argue over like, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel during this corona, right? There's a lot of people who are like, you got to be out there and, you got to be knocking doors over. You be doing all this stuff. And look, I get it. I be motivated. I listen to that stuff to get me motivated to go do the paperwork, not to like go, start a whole new lending company in a week. I also don't want to fall into a trap, which I never will, but like stay as far as away as like, oh, well, I'm just going to chill and relax. It's okay to like not do anything also. I do believe that it's not okay. It's not okay to do nothing during the time. I heard this quote somewhere that like basically if you don't whatever it is, but if you don't do it now, you are never going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So I do believe that, but that also doesn't mean you have to go, start the new Tesla or something during,
Yeah.
quarantine.
Well, whatever you do, it needs to be a sustainable habit or process or whatever, because at the end of the day, it's easy to like start something really quickly and keep at it for, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but sustain that over a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, right? It's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Yep.
So,
And
I
something that
think,
I want to say to the listeners here for, whoever is listening today to this, I think it is really important to know that I push myself pretty hard, but I put a lot of pressure on myself. And I have told myself to ease off that pressure a little bit right now
yeah,
because there is only so much I can do right now in a quarantine.
true.
I need to realize and recognize that I can't do everything right now during this. And it's hard for me to do, but recognize that I can't do everything, which will help me bring a little bit of anxiety down because otherwise I'm like kicking myself in the butt because I can't do everything. So it's not about making an excuse. It's just about understanding what realistically can and can't be done during a time like this and adjusting. Obviously, moving forward, always forward, never back. Truly believe it, right? Like I've got these crazy goals that I'm doing to keep myself busy all the time. I'm trying to push business. I'm on the phone with lenders, but I'm not going to beat myself up at the end of the day. I will come out of this, smarter, wiser, more relationships, better relationships, ready to go. But I'm certainly not going to sit here and tell you like I'm a $10 million a year business like day one because of all the things that I did, during Corona.
I think that makes sense, right? You gotta take your time, and it's an unusual situation that we're all in. So, I think it's Atomic Habits. Forget the author off the top. Clear. Author is Clear. James Clear, maybe. He's all about like 1% better, right? And
Yep.
that's compounding. So, right, you save a penny, and then you save 2 pennies, then you save three, 3 pennies, and so on. And as that compounds, you get a lot better. But
Yep.
1% might be like, oh, I learned one new thing, right? Maybe I fixed my grammar in my emails. I don't know what it is. It
Yep.
could be like, but like that makes you sound more professional in a year from now or 2 years from now or whatever. And it might, for whatever that might be the difference between working with a lender and not working with a lender.
Absolutely. I mean, it's slow. At some point, yes, you're going to have the billionaires in the world that took massive, massive risk. But the truth is, they did take a large risk to get where they got. Like, you don't make $1 billion without some sort of risk or some sort of luck aspect. Not saying like any luck is there for, what is it? Luck like meets opportunity or something like that, or
Yeah,
luck
it's
meets
like
hard work, whatever. I agree with that. Like, at right place, you got to work hard to be in the right place to get the luck. Okay. But it is slow and steady, right? That's how great businesses are built, is slow and steady. That's how people survive, is slow and steady. Many people who are probably not in a great position in the real estate world right now chased things down, took everything they could on, over leveraged, didn't put themselves in good positions because they wanted to be there yesterday, right? So I believe it is slow and steady. And slow and steady isn't like one house every 20 years, like just be smart about it. I mean, it might be one house every 20 years for you,
yeah,
or, it's whatever works for you and is smart, but just, I don't think you need to chase it down. It is a marathon, not a sprint.
cool. I like that. That's a good way to finish it out. You want to wrap it up?
Yep. Thank you, everybody, for listening here today. We really appreciate it. As you know, you can check us out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. If you want to email us at hustleestate1@gmail.com. And on our social media platforms, we're on Twitter and Instagram @hustleestate. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.